Welcome to the program. A double whammy of natural disasters has rocked Indonesia in just 24 hours. A tsunami and a volcano eruption with the combined death toll of more than 170 and rising. At least 150 residents of Indonesia's remote Mentawai Islands are dead and hundreds more missing after the latest tsunami off the coast of Sumatra. It's now feared that the surviving islanders, having fled their ruined villages for the inland, are too scared to return and are now exposed to the elements and disease. There was some good news for many Australian families today when dozens of surfers caught by the tsunami emerged safe from the disaster. In central Java, at least another 24 are dead after the Mount Merapi volcano erupted 3 times. Indonesia sits on one of the world's most geologically unstable regions, called the Pacific Rim of Fire, where the subterranean friction of the Earth's tectonic plates has stoked a series of earthquakes and one of the world's biggest collections of active volcanoes. Tim Palmer reports.
Storms of deadly ash in Java as Mount Merapi spews lava again, and the thousands who live on its slopes flee in panic. And across the archipelago, the villages of the West Mentawai Islands flattened by 4-metre waves. The latest spasms from Indonesia's famed Ring of Fire. Today, the lucky survivors of the 7.7 earthquake off the Sumatran coast found safe ground. The memory of past tsunamis, in particular the 2004 Boxing Day catastrophe that burst off Sumatra's coast, is never far away for the Mentawai Islanders. Just a year ago, the islands and Padang were struck again. And still, they had no more than about 5 or 10 minutes to get to high ground when yesterday's waves hit.
I think it would have been the time, the speed that the quake came in, and really just the topography.
Hundreds are still missing from the waves that tore through the remote islands.
The initial reports in some villages are up to 80% of the houses destroyed. And really, our concern is also for the people that evacuate. It's such a remote area. A lot of these communities have no communication unless a boat comes past.
The blowpipe and loincloth culture of the Mentawais just a few decades ago has adapted to new visitors, seeking out the island's famed reef surfing breaks. The last 10 missing Australian surfers aboard the Southern Cross were found overnight, healthy and ready to help the islanders.
I think even a text that we got through from Chris, the captain of the Southern Cross, that we received last night at 10:15 was, we okay, mate, we've been south, all fine, heading Sikakap, how can I help? Which is an indication, really, I think, in the state of mind of the surfers as well, or the charter boat captains that have been out there, that they've realised the extent of the destruction in an area that's been their home for years. And so even though they've been through a trauma themselves, their next thought is what they can do to help the local communities.
Their holiday in surfing paradise over, many surf tourists today landed in Padang on Sumatra, talking of narrow escapes like those aboard Midas, the yacht that collided with another boat and burst into flames.
This boat here, Freedom, was anchored outside of us. They were caught by the wave, came surfing into us on the wave, hit us directly in the side of the boat, piercing a fuel tank. Midas caught on fire immediately. In about 30 seconds, almost immediately, the captain gave the order to abandon ship.
They spent an hour and a half in the water, clinging to branches, with the tidal surge around them. So, it's a remarkable survival story.
A 7.7 earthquake is big, significantly larger, for example, than January's catastrophic Haiti quake. But to give an idea of just how treacherous this region is, today the preeminent expert on the region's plate movements said yesterday's quake was itself just an aftershock from the Boxing Day quake 6 years ago. The big one, seismologists believe, is still out there.
In 2004, we had the magnitude 9.2, which caused the tsunami. So there's certainly potential for much larger earthquakes.
All the information from the international seismologists, and they're all in agreement, is that it will be a quake between 8.5 and 8.9. And that will deliver a much larger tsunami. It will be closer to the island of Siberut, where 35,000 people live, and it will deliver a tsunami to Padang, a city of 900,000 people along the coast, which would probably arrive in 30 to 35 minutes.
A series of jolting aftershocks have hit the region in the past few hours as the small NGO Surf Aid International led the charge to deliver medicine and shelter to devastated villages.
There was a request for medical supplies, shelter kits, blankets, sleeping mats, clothing and water purification. So that was the initial request that we got through last night from Southern Sapura. We have sent out one boat last night, we've sent out another this morning, and we're loading up one today to go out with 1,000 shelter kits and blankets.
Across the Sunda Strait in Java, the eruption of Mount Merapi has already killed 25 people. Nothing compared with its potential for disaster.
It is very highly populated, of course, and in the past they've had major eruptions, we're talking centuries now, where the whole of basically the Java's been covered by ash from that volcano. So it would be very significant.
It may be timely to remember that Indonesia's volcanic history has reached out to change the entire world before. The now beautiful Lake Toba sits atop a supervolcano that many believe plunged the world into an ice age and reduced the human population of Earth to less than 10,000 people when it erupted. And Mount Tambora, when it exploded cataclysmically in 1815, produced the famed Year Without Summer. Snows destroyed crops and people starved across America and Europe. Turner painted his famous eerie sunsets, and Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein amid the gloom.
The mechanisms for those eruptions in the past are still ongoing and will go into the future. It's unpredictable to the extent we can't say that we're going to get an eruption or an earthquake at a particular time, but we can forecast that you're going to get large eruptions in the future, unless, you know, things have totally changed in the systems there, and we know that they haven't.
That report from former Indonesia correspondent Tim Palmer, who was on hand to report the Aceh tsunami.